Hello, Keith Rucker here at VintageMachinery.org. Guys, today I am down in Tallahassee, Florida. Came down here to actually pick up a piece of machinery, and while I was down here, took an opportunity to come over here and take another look at one of these maker spaces. That, we did a tour of one up in Knoxville, Tennessee a while back. This is another one down in Tallahassee. Had an invite to come down and take a look at it, and I thought I'd share this with you. So
appreciate it.
Yeah,
hey, I'm Brad Harris. I'm a board member and founding member of Making Awesome down here in Tallahassee, Florida. It's a nonprofit makerspace in the heart of town. It's makingawesome.org if you're interested in checking us out. The makerspace works a lot like a gym, but instead of paying for access to workout equipment, you're paying for access to shop equipment. So right now we're standing in the wood shop. In addition to the wood shop, we have a machine shop with the machine working tools. We have a jewelry area for making jewelry. We have a 3D printer area, electronics area. We have laser cutters. We have a classroom space. And we also have fabric craft where you can work on sewing machines or cosplay or that kind of stuff. So storage space for your projects if they take a little bit longer than you anticipated. Storage comes with your membership. So really glad to be able to provide this kind of space for the community, for people whose projects have maybe outgrown their garage, or if they don't know how to get started on a project, or if they don't know how to finish a project, or if they just prefer making in the company of other people. Sometimes half the point of a project is to show it off to people. So if you can work on a project at the space and then show it off to all the members, there's kind of a sense of camaraderie that comes with that.
Sure.
So, and that kind of community is something that we're really enjoying building right here.
Great. All right. Well, let's do a little quick tour.
Sounds awesome.
Take a look at what all you guys got.
Sounds good. So we're standing here in the wood shop. It's not a huge wood shop, but there's a lot of great tools in here. So we packed a lot of punch into a small space. Starting out with the table saw, we've got a nice Delta table saw, in-feed and out-feed rollers. It's got a huge cutting area, so you can cut an entire piece of 4x8 plywood on here, and you won't even need extra help. It comes in handy, but you don't have to have it. We have a router table, a planer, chop saw. We have back over here a really cool lathe.
Wood lathe, yeah.
Wood lathe. And Keith, I think you recognize the name on it.
Yeah,
I'm not a woodworker, so I don't know much about that.
Yeah, that's
one.
a Conover lathe. That's a nice little lathe. It's kind of a kit. You build the bed. You put a wooden bed on it, and you can make it however long you want, but you get the castings and stuff. But that's a nice little wood lathe.
Yeah, very cool. We got woodworking tools down there, or lathe tools down there. Coming on around, bandsaw, drill press, sanders and grinders. And then one of the tools that gets a lot of use here in the shop is the X-Carve. The X-Carve is a CNC router. And that means it's controlled by the computer, which needs a little bit of cleaning because it's in a wood shop. But the router itself is computer controlled. So you can design really intricate, complicated parts, and the CNC router will cut those out of the plywood or whatever wood it is that you want. So if you want to impress your friends and make them think that you're really good at carving, you can just cheat and download some plans from the internet and run them through the X-Carve and impress all your family.
Cool.
If you want to move through, we'll go into the sewing area. All right, so coming through here, we have the fabric craft room and reception area. We normally have a large sewing machine right here, but it is on loan to another group this weekend. But as you come into the space, this is the first area. So if you're taking a class, there will be reception here where you sign in for classes. And this is a little bit separate. This is very separated from the wood shop and the machine shop, so there's no dust in the air in here. Like I said, we have a reception area. We have some little trinkets that the 3D printers and the wood shop and different people have made. Maybe they're projects that didn't quite live up to their expectations, but we just kind of put them on display. It's part of the maker culture to show off your mistakes just as much as your successes. We have magazine selection of different kind of make magazines and different books that people have donated to the space and to our causes. We also have a section over there. It's worth mentioning that we 3D printed a lot of the headbands to go with the face shields during the COVID-19 pandemic. Early on, a lot of schools, a lot of nursing homes, hospitals, they just couldn't get that PPE. If you remember, there was a huge shortage. So we were actually able to 3D print those face masks, and we got a lot of thank yous, a lot of kudos from the different community members that we helped during that time. So there's some of those here and there. You'll find thank you cards around. So it's really something that we're proud of that we're able to help with. All right, so we moved a little bit further into the space. We are now in the 3D printer slash server slash electronics room. And the first thing that you'll notice when you walk in is a couple of server racks. We have half a dozen different servers in here that were donated by a local business. And this is for anybody that wants to work on a project that's more in, like internet, like coding or servers or clustering or anything like that. These servers are free for members to use. They're a little bit loud, that's why they're turned off right now. But some members run different kinds of like Minecraft servers or things like that on there. We also have a few different 3D printers around in this room. Some of them have been upgraded. Some of them are just straight factory out of the box. We have a few over here. We also have a filament rack. There's quite a bit of filament on there. If anybody needs filament for their 3D printing projects, they don't have to pay for it. They can just use the filament as it's sitting out. And as members use filament for their projects, they will actually just place the remaining filament on the cart for anybody to use. We also have a couple of soldering stations in here, with the right kind of lights and amplification for doing, electronics projects. We have oscilloscopes and power supplies and sine wave generators and desoldering stations and all the kind of stuff that you would find on, an electronics workbench. And I have seen several people crammed into these tiny spaces, but we can also move any of these electronics tools over to any of the other workspaces as well. So this is heavily used by people in the cosplay community. I've seen where they will start in the fabric craft room and do the bulk of their costumes for cosplay, and then they'll move in here and use the electronics and like Arduinos or Raspberry Pis to add animatronics like animation stuff or lights or sound effects or things like that to their costumes. So we actually do get quite a bit of usage in here. This is one of the more heavily used rooms in the space. So we're in the classroom space now. It's not a huge space, but it's reconfigurable, so we can fit 6 to 10 people is about the size of most of our classes. The last class that we were working on was a 3D printer class, which is why the 3D printers are in here. So plenty of whiteboards. We have projector. We have configurable desks and chairs. All of them have power strips on the back of them. So we've done soldering classes, we've done lock picking classes, we've done lots of different kinds of classes in this room. And we have a really cool policy with teachers or instructors that if you have a class idea, if you want to bring it to us, we don't charge you per the class. We just charge a small fee per person that comes to the class, and the instructor sets the price for the class themselves. So it's kind of like the instructor's just renting the space here. But if you need laptops or projector or whiteboards or anything like that, we have those kind of things that the instructor is free to use for the class. And we've taught some really cool classes in here. The last one was a 3D printer class, and we have taught a class, not this 3D printer class, but another 3D printer class where each participant paid a small amount. I forget the exact dollar amount. I think it was about $350. And over 4 weeks, over 4 Saturdays, they came in and spent 3.5 hours putting those 3D printer kits together. And then at the end of the class, everybody that participated actually left with a fully working, calibrated 3D printer that they themselves had built. So they knew how everything worked really well. It was a cool class. It was a really cool class. So here we are now in the jewelry craft space. We don't really have a name for this room. It's just where the jewelry smiths work a lot. We have all the kind of tools that you would expect in a jewelry crafting area. We have ring rollers, the world's smallest drill press, tiny anvils, the kinds of things that you would need, to work on bracelets or rings or necklaces or those kind of things. So shears and vices and just all of those kind of things. We also have crucibles and cupels and the kind of equipment that you'd want if you wanted to smelt fine metals. We have an entire vent hood area with acetylene torches. We have just a large workbench area. We have anvils. We have another workbench over there where some of our members will work if you need a little bit more light or if just more than one person wants to work on a project at a time. We also have a couple of laser cutters in the space. We have a large Epilogue. This was donated to us by, I think, TCC, Tallahassee Community College, donated this one. This one we actually purchased. This is a much smaller one, a little bit higher quality, but a much smaller cutting surface. These being, high-powered lasers require a little bit more training to use, but once you're trained and signed off on how to use these machines, you're free to come in here and use the equipment for whatever you need. And this is just a test sample that was just found laying around, so you can see the kind of depth of cut and the kind of quality that you can get from these laser cutters. It's pretty nice, and of course all the fumes are vented outside, so it's a really nice addition to the space to have 2 laser cutters. So here we are now in the center of the makerspace. We have the metal shop. Starting over here, we have surface grinder, we have a metal lathe, we have a shear, a drill press, bench grinder, another sander. We have 2 large mills with DROs on them. Over there we have a large band saw. And then coming on, we have surface plates, veneer, calipers, all the different kinds of things. We have a couple of projects that Mr. Charlie, one of our members, is working on, and clean out sinks, another restroom, surface plate with all the dials and gauges that you would need for really high quality machining work. Large workspace in the middle of it. In the middle of the space. So, and this is really in the heart of the makerspace. So this room's actually very quiet, and it stays most comfortable throughout the year.
So there you go, guys. A little quick tour of the place here. And if you're in the northern Florida area, interested in
anywhere near Tallahassee,
having access to some shop equipment. I know a lot of guys, may not have a lot of their own shop equipment, but want to play around with stuff. These maker spaces are a really, really good place to do that kind of stuff. A good place to learn too. A lot of them are doing classes. There's people in the different areas that really know this stuff and can show you how to do things. So it's a really good place to learn, a really good place to do stuff. And you really, for a lot of people, are going to have nicer shop equipment than you would have room or money for in your own home to have. So I really like the concept of these maker spaces, and most of your bigger towns and stuff, a lot of them out there are really starting to get these in there. So, but yeah, if you're in the North Florida area, again, if you're interested in getting involved with Making Awesome, how do they find you?
I appreciate it. Once again, it's makingawesome.org, or you can just go on Facebook and look for Making Awesome in Tallahassee, Florida. We're on Industrial Drive. It's a good space. It's near the heart of town. It's real close to Capitol Circle. It's right near I-10. We have memberships monthly, weekly, or even a daily if you want to use it. We also have open houses every third Wednesday of the month. We have an open house where you're free to just come in after 5 o'clock and just use the tools that are in here.
Okay.
So we look forward to hearing from anybody. If you have any questions, let us know. And Keith, thank you for coming down and touring the shop.
Awesome. Thank you. Enjoyed it. So guys, with that, that's going to be a wrap. Like we always say, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and thumbs up and comments are appreciated, so do that as well. Hit that bell icon if you want to get notifications of when we post new videos to the channel. And with that,
thanks again. Appreciate it.
Catch you on the next video. Thanks.
Thanks.